Hey y'all. So I tried to shoot this video a couple of times and it just came out as boring, so I'm just gonna give it to y'all raw. This is essentially going to be my tips for getting through the first year and what to do, in my opinion, what to do the summer before vet school. So I think the summer before vet school, you're nervous, you're anxious, you're just like, oh my gosh, this thing is coming to life. I'm finally going to be a veterinarian. My dream came true. Oh my God, they said yes, and my name is on the roster, and my name is on the email, it's real. Your first instinct is, I'm going to study. I'm going to study really hard. I'm going to be the best student in my class. I'm going to review everything. I'm going to go over all the notes. No, don't do that. If you studying will not put you ahead of anyone else. Studying biology notes from undergrad, different level. Studying anatomy notes may make you familiar with some of the concepts, but those things are going to be spread out over the span of 12 months, 6 months for school time. I will say, if you were going to review anything, I would suggest that you review terminology. And I'm not talking about like a deep study. I am talking about like no proximal distal, no medial lateral, no rostral, caudal, cranial, dorsal, ventral, plantar. Like, know the terminology, and that does not require a lot of time. My school offered a anatomy course, like online, self-guided, with modules in it, the summer beforehand, and I just kind of reviewed the terminology, and I think I looked at the heart, and that was it. And I promise you, the terminology is like the biggest thing that you can do for yourself. But what I want to tell you is that summer before vet school, you should enjoy yourself. You should take trips within means. Don't blow your savings. You should still work. You should hang out with your family. You should cook out. You should go see your friends and like laugh, enjoy, just relax yourself, especially those who went straight through, because you just finished. If you went straight through, you just finished college, and then on top of that, you're gonna go from just finishing college to doing vet school. I'm like a little teddy. To doing vet school, and people do it all the time. But what I'm saying is, give yourself a break. You don't have to be a student that summer before you start college. When you get to first year, this is my experience in vet school. I went to vet school in North Carolina. We essentially, for the first year, we were in class almost every day from 8 to 5. We had anatomy, physiology, immunology, teaching animal unit. And I think those are like the big ones. I can't remember the other smaller classes. I haven't looked them up, but I mean, those were the especially anatomy, physiology, and immunology. Those three were the ones that stood out. So for anatomy first semester, we did dogs and cats, and that is very detail oriented. You will need to know like the bones and the prominences, or like little things on them, the muscles that attach to them, the innervations of the muscle, what joint they cross, what's their action, and the arteries and veins that flow in throughout them. And you'll need to be able to like see them, know them, and kind of know them backwards and forwards. I was on the purse. And kind of know them backwards and forwards. For physiology, everything for us was broken up into sections. So like one section you're learning neurology, then you're learning cells, and then you're learning the heart, and then you're learning the gastrointestinal, and you're learning the kidneys. From what I could tell, that one, just study. Just study like that. That was less memorization and more concepts. And a lot of the times they try to make the anatomy class and the physiology class like mesh together, so that when you're learning about anatomy of a kidney, you also learn about the physiology of a kidney, so you can try, if your mind works that way, to like piece them together. So the way that it works, like I said, we're in class from 8 to 5. From 8 to 12, we're essentially in the same classroom, and the teachers just cycle through. And then we have a lunch break from like 12 to 1:30, and then after that we have a lab or some type of hands-on or like a couple hour class, and we're there until 5. What I used to do for freshman year was I used to go home, and then after I went home, I would eat, obviously, and do everything I need to do at home. And I'd come back at 7, and I'd stay in the library until like 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11. And I would do that Monday through Friday. Well, I would do that Monday through Thursday. On Friday, I would get there at 8, study through lunch, and then at 5 o'clock, I would say no more. If I didn't have a test on Monday, then I would not study Friday night. I would be like, nope, I studied Monday through Thursday, I studied through lunch today, and I'm fine. Now, if I had a test on Monday, then I would study on Friday evening, but I would still cut myself off at like 9 o'clock. Then on Saturdays, I would wake up, be in the library, be in or on the floor in my room or wherever I study the best. I would do that, and I would wake up and I'd get there like 9, 10 o'clock, and I'd study until like probably 2 or 3 p.m. Maybe until 4. I'd probably try to get it like 6, 7, 8-ish hours in on a Saturday, especially my first year. And then after that, if anybody wanted to have a little potluck, or they wanted to go out, they wanted to go out downtown Raleigh, or they wanted to just hang out, I wouldn't feel bad about doing that. So I'd still get my Friday and Saturday nights. What can I say for anatomy is that things that helped me study for anatomy in vet school was to think about how they could ask a question. Number one, like I said, review the terminology. Also, you need to learn the bones, especially at my school, yourself, because they don't really go over that stuff with you. They kind of just jump in and they assume, and they expect of you to go back and learn the bones yourself. So they give you little bone boxes, and you have to, with your anatomy group, there's like 4 or 5 people per group, and they give you a little box, and you kind of just rotate the boxes through. So you'll be like, this is a humerus, arm bone, and this is a humerus. And so on that, you have to learn what all of the little nuances of the humerus are, the femur, or the skull, things like that. So learn those on your own. Remember the terminology, and also study for freshman year specifically. Make sure you study early, study fast, and study often. And study fast is kind of wrong thing to say, but make sure you review often. If you are not studying by the 3rd day, you will be behind. And I say that because first semester freshman year, the analogy they use is that it's like drinking water from a fire hose or from a waterfall with a little dentist cup. And that is so true, because essentially the first day they're just like, hey, how you doing? Okay, so we're gonna get into the neurology and such and such and such and such, and like, so make sure you start studying early, and I mean like no later than like the 2nd or 3rd day of school. You might be a little off first day, but like study. Also, however you study in undergrad that worked for you, find a way to make that work for you in vet school. If you had to get it into your system 2 or 3 times, if you had to go to class, if you had to read the notes, if you had to take notes on the notes, if you had to listen to it again, this was my process, then do that in vet school, but allow time. So for example, say that I had a test on a Friday and I knew there was a lot of information. After listening to the class and after reading the notes and after looking at the PowerPoint presentation, I would then make like a study schedule for myself. So it wasn't as anything as complicated as like today I'm going to review pages 1 through 10. It wasn't like that. But what it was like, if the test was on Friday, I said that I wanted to be by a certain point or through all the material, say by Wednesday, so that I could spend by Wednesday like noon, so then I could spend Wednesday night and Thursday reviewing material, so that by the time Friday comes, I feel okay with it. So when I say like set study schedules, kind of like that. In first year, it's not really that important for you to make study schedules. Second year, honey, so we'll get into second year, because second year you definitely, your study schedule needs to be a little bit more intense than that. But first year you should be okay with just saying like, if the test is this day, then I want to be okay with this material by 2 days before, and then you review. What other tips can I give you? Vet school can be humbling. And when I say that, it's because we are all smart. If you gotta admit it, and you're just watching this trying to get information before school starts in a couple of months, you are smart. We are all smart. There are only 33 vet schools in the country, and you got into it. And if you got into NC State, my school, you got into one of the top 3 in the country, okay? So we are all smart. No one is questioning that. Vet school is humbling, and vet school will challenge you because it is a lot of information. It is very targeted information, and you are going to have a lot of teachers. In one class, you could have upwards to probably 10 teachers depending on how many subjects, and they split off, and one teacher teaches this subject, one teacher teaches this other subject. It is okay to ask for help. Work together with your classmates. If you feel that it's so much information and you're not sure of how to organize all this information so that you can get it together in your brain, talk to your classmates. Some of your classmates are visual, and some of them are very proactive in that they make charts, or they make mnemonics, or they do anything like that to help them get it, or they'll make flashcards online. If you do that, if you are that type of person to make those study resources, share them with your class. Work together. There will be 100 of you, and you will be stuck in the same room with each other for 3 years. And then when you go to the clinics in your 4th year, you will be working with them and with other students. And I promise you, they are going to be your lifeline in vet school, and hopefully after vet school if you have a question. So work together. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Your teachers don't want you to fail. Your classmates don't want you to fail. And your institution does not want you to fail. It does not look good on them if you fail. It doesn't mean that they are going to let you skimp by with getting D's and F's, because at NC State, I know for a fact that I think that you can't get more than 3 D's in the program. And if you get an F, then you were kicked out, which means you have to retake it, or you're on to the next class, or you kick whatever you want, with whatever they decide. So they're not gonna let you make bad grades and skimp by, but they want you to excel. And the teachers there are super, 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 super approachable. You have board certified cardiologists, oncologists, immunologists, world-renowned people, and they are so nice. They're so humble. You can ask for help. You can say, I studied. You can literally say, I studied my tail off, and I still made a bad grade on this quiz. What am I doing wrong? And they will give you resources, and they will say, okay, let's try it this way. Let's try it this way. I know personally, there's at least 4 or 5 teachers from each year of your curriculum that will come in after hours and that will work personally with you to make sure that you are grasping the material. So do not feel ashamed to ask for help. Everyone is struggling, and the people who really struggle the hardest and the people who fall the hardest are the ones who are prideful and the ones who don't ask for help. So ask for help. Also, for your computer, a lot of people got by with Macs, but I will say that the majority of my class had a Surface, a Lenovo, or some type of other tablet, an iPad Pro, where we could download the PDFs, and we could download the notes, and we could download the PowerPoints, and we can write directly on them. So I think that you need something like that for school. I also think something that is newer. I know people who got through most of the years with an older laptop, like one from undergrad, but I wouldn't do that. If your laptop is more than 2 years old, I think that I would get another one, because I also had people whose laptop died in the middle of an exam season during second year. And once again, we don't get to second year. But what I'm saying is, when you have 2 tests, a quiz, and a paper due in the middle of the week, and your computer black screens on you and just dies, and on a Wednesday, and your test is on a Thursday, just don't do it to yourself. Get yourself a new computer. Get it within one that's 2 years old, and make sure it's the RAM, and make sure all that stuff. I know NC State offers Microsoft Word and whatnot through the college. What else can I tell you? Take care of yourself. Build in time to work out, and everyone's going to tell you this, but when I tell you that it is so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of school and studying, and even if you feel like you have it under control, at some point, and even past vet school, at some point things are going to get overwhelming, and you need to make sure that you have built in the habit of taking care of yourself. And this is for anyone. If you are just interested in going to vet school, and you are an undergrad right now, and you're taking 17 hours, and you're working and you're volunteering, Build in things and habits that you like to do and take care of yourself. That will take you so far in vet school and in life as a veterinarian, because this can be a stressful career. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you've already done your research, because you're either thinking about going or you just got accepted. If you got accepted, congratulations. If you are applying, don't worry. I know we've all been there. It can be a stressful process, but hey, you got to do it. Make sure you get your recommendation letters, make sure they're strong, and make sure you get your backup. Like I said, I think in the video before, don't let one person mess up your chances. So I think that's all that I have to say about that.